vision or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Michelle, and for the next hour I will be reading from the March 15th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Cover story, Battle Zone. Who will win this year's Oscars? Sinners? One battle after another? Square off. By Bruce Miller. Hamnet should win. Sinners could win. One battle after another will win. That's how the Best Picture competition stacks up at this point. But Sinners, which happens to be from the same company as One Battle, emerged as a sleeper, winning Best Actor and Best Ensemble prizes from the Actor Awards, the last of the big prizes before Oscar night. If that suggests a shift, we could see a surprise at the last minute. Knowing how stubborn Academy members are and unwilling to let the actors force their hand, it could be a red herring. One Battle won Best Picture awards from the Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, and British Academy Award voters. That seems like an awful lot for Sinners to overcome. We say One Battle wins Best Picture. Still, stranger things have happened. Here's how the rest of the Oscars could transpire. Lead Actress. This is the easiest category to handicap because Jessie Buckley has won everything for Hamnet. She provided the heart to a story about William Shakespeare and his budding career. If there's a spoiler, it's Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. She has several prizes to her name too, but Hamnet can't go home empty-handed. It's just too good. And she's the one to carry the banner. Look for Buckley to win. Lead Actor. Those actor awards moved Michael B. Jordan out of the also nominated pack into the realm of contender. If there's a sweep for Sinners, he has a chance. But if the prognosticators are right, it's Timothy Chalamet's for Marty Supreme. Chalamet did everything possible to make this happen, including intense table tennis study, and surely he deserves to win. He didn't win last year for A Complete Unknown and should have a voter regret working in his favor. Likely to win, Timothy Chalamet, Marty Supreme. Spoiler, Michael B. Jordan from Sinners. Supporting Actress. This category has extremely strong contenders. Teyana Taylor, One Battle After Another, seemed like the front runner, but the prizes have been split among her. Amy Madigan, Weapons, and Woonie Muscato from Sinners. When Madigan won the Actor Award, you could sense there's a desire to reward someone who's been in the business for some time. She's the only veteran in the bunch, remember. Field of Dreams, Gone Baby Gone, and Places in the Heart, and that could work in her favor or against her. Weapons is a horror film, and that doesn't sit well with those who think a prestige picture should win. Taylor and Mosako could be beneficiaries of sweeps for their films, but there's a gut feeling that this is now one envelope away from being in Madigan's hands. Likely to win, Amy Madigan from Weapons. Spoiler, Teyana Taylor, One Battle After Another. Supporting Actor. This is the toughest category of all. Past winners were Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, and veterans Delroy Lindo, Stella Skarsgård, complete with a hot young actor, Jacob Elordi. So far, it's something for everyone with early contests, but it could come down to Penn, One Battle After Another, and Skarsgård, Sentimental Value. Because Penn already has 2 Oscars, Skarsgård could be a stronger choice. But Penn's performance is so intense, varied, and essential to his film, it's impossible to say he's out of the mix. Likely to win, Sean Penn from One Battle After Another, or Stellan Skarsgård from Sentimental Value. The spoiler, Delroy Lindo from Sinners. Director, Paul Thomas Anderson is destined to win this, largely because he has plenty of nominations and no wins. Plus, he's one of the new elite, and he's One Battle After Another is one of his strongest films. Animated film, K-pop, Demon Hunters. International film, it's a split between Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent. Either could win. Original song, Golden from K-pop, Demon Hunters. Other categories, Frankenstein should do well in the craft categories. Avatar from Fire and Ash. And F1 will win in technical categories, and Sinners and One Battle After Another should split the writing prizes. Streaming. What's new this week in television, films, and music? Movies. After collecting $1.85 billion in box office, the Disney animated smash hit Zootopia 2 comes to Disney Plus on March 11th. The film, a sequel to 2016 Zootopia, follows the continuing adventures of rabbit police officer Judy Hobbs, played by Ginnifer Goodwin, and her partner Fox Nick Wilder, played by Jason Bateman. In their new case, the arrival of mysterious Viper, played by Ki Wan, leads to new revelations about the animal metropolis. For the first time, the Oscars will be streamed. In addition to the live broadcast on ABC on March 15th, the 97th Academy Awards will be streamed for Hulu. The show will be available to all subscribers and won't require a cable subscription. The Oscars are moving to YouTube, but not until 2029. That also means this week is your last chance to catch up on the nominees, most of which are streaming. That includes Sinners, One Battle After Another, Weapons, and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You on HBO Max, Frankenstein, Train Dreams, K-pop, Demon Hunters, and Blue Moon on Netflix. Begonia, Hamnet, and Song Sung Blue on Peacock, F1 on Apple TV Plus, and The Secret Agent, and It Was Just an Accident on Hulu. Music. On March 13th, Kim Gordon, a revolutionary force in the alternate rock band Sonic Youth, the 80s New York no-wave scene in the space between art and noise, will release her third solo album, Play Me. It follows the Grammy-nominated The Collective, her beat-heavy 2024 album that surprised and delighted audiences with its oddball trap blasts. Play Me shares in that spirit. It's full of propulsive production and confrontational songs that poses a keen ability to process and reflect the world. Start with the castigation of convenience culture and passive listening on his title track. Stay for Subcon, an examination of the world's growing billionaire class and its fascination with space colonization in a period of economic insecurity. To call them veterans almost feels like too slight a word. Giants of American heavy metal. Lamb of God will release their 10th studio album, Into Oblivion, on March 13th. The title is a reflection of how frontman Randy Blythe sees the current state of the affairs. An appropriate launch pad for 10 tracks of ferocity. Series. Sesame Street dropped 4 new episodes, now streaming on Netflix. The legacy preschool show found a new home on the streamer ahead of its current 56th season. Netflix live-action adventure series One Piece returns for its 2nd season, now streaming. It's based on a massively popular Japanese manga series by Eiichiro Oda. The show follows a young man named Monkey D. Luffy, whose dream in life is to be a pirate. In Season 1, Luffy recruited his fellow pirates called the Straw Hats. In Season 2, Luffy and his crew set out to find treasure in a dangerous stretch of water called the Grand Line. There are 8 episodes in One Piece, Into the Grand Line. Nicole Kidman brings a crime writer Patricia Cornwell's famed forensic pathologist character Kay Scarpetta to life in the new series Scarpetta, out March 11th on Prime Video. The story unfolds over two timelines. Scarpetta is a young woman played by Rosie McEwen, and in present day played by Kidman, Jamie Lee Curtis, Bobby Cannavale, Simon Baker, Ariana DuBois, Jake Cannavale, and Hunter Parrish also star. Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western family drama The Madison debuts on Paramount Plus on March 14th. At its center is the Clyburn family of New York, led by matriarch Stacy Clyburn, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, who moves her family to Montana after a tragedy. Kurt Russell, Patrick J. Adams, Matthew Fox, and Bo Garrett also have roles. A second season is already filmed. Good Dad Intentions are at heart of Carol's new series by Alicia Ranchillo. Recently, Steve Carell had a misunderstanding with his adult daughter over whether or not to give her a ride home. While both preferred she take an Uber, they agreed Carell could go hours out of his way to drive her instead, thinking it was what the other really wanted her to do. His wife, Nancy, eventually stepped in, telling them to stop acting like idiots and to just be honest. That's when Carell realized he was trying too hard to do what he thought was a good dad deed. She would really have preferred to take the Uber, and I really have preferred to just go home without dropping her off, Carell said in a recent interview. That type of push and pull between a father and his adult daughter is at the center of Carell's new series, Rooster, premiering Sunday on HBO. Carell plays Greg Russo, a successful author of Beach Reads, whose protagonist is named Rooster. When Greg's daughter, Katie, played by Charlie Clive, a professor at Ludlow College, finds herself in the middle of a humiliating breakup, she takes a job at the small liberal arts school to stay close to her. The series, created by Bill Lawrence and Matt Tars, is Carell's first outright television comedy since leaving The Office in 2011. Carell said he was already a fan of Lawrence, but reading the pilot episode was all he needed to be in instantly. He loved the tone and how unique it was. Casting Carell to be the lead in your comedy is like winning the lottery, says Tarsus. You're excited you get this guy, and then he exceeds your expectations, and then he's a nicer guy than you think. They credit Carell for taking moments that weren't meant to be funny and adding comedic touches, like when Greg folds his puffy coat before handing it to an attendant at a party. In another scene, Katie explains to Greg why she has a problem with him being at the school. As she speaks, Carell opted to eat a handful of corn nuts, causing a noisy distraction. We had to turn the volume down, said Lawrence. I could have watched it for 2 hours. While Carell is making a return to comedy with Rooster, Danielle Deadwyler, known for dramatic roles like Till and The Piano Lesson, is making her debut in the genre. She plays a poetry professor who finds herself promoted to dean. I needed something to balance me out and to allow my nervous system to recoup itself after years of drama, said Deadwyler, who says she's learned that comedic acting is still just acting, and the thorough line of everything is the need to stay extremely grounded. John McGinney of Scrubs plays the president of Ludlow College with a penchant for gossip. He invites faculty and students to partake in a backyard cold plunge and sauna as sort of a safe space for sharing feelings. It's a daily ritual in McKinley's own life that he's been doing for about 25 years. Lawrence knew this about McGinley and decided to make it a regular practice for his character. One of Billy's biggest strengths is he writes from familiarity, said McGinney. Phil Dunster is Archie, Katie's narcissistic, estranged husband. He already has a relationship with Lawrence from working on Ted Lasso. Like Carell, Dunster was impressed by the script. When I read the script, it was less like, oh man, I want to watch this show. I think that's a really nice feeling when you have come across something that you go, oh, I'd love to watch this. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the March 15th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Movies. Minimalistic horror film Undertone uses sound to scare by Lindsay Bear. Alfred Hitchcock famously claimed he didn't watch his films in theaters. When asked if he missed out on hearing the audience scream, he said, no, I can hear them scream when I'm making the picture. While Ian Tucson, the mind behind the buzzy new auditory horror Undertone, reveres and references Hitchcock as much as the next horror film maker, he has to disagree with him on this one. For Tucson, the real screams are the point. My favorite thing about this whole process is just watching it with audiences. I think that's probably why I wanted to make a horror film, just to kind of witness their reactions, Tucson said in a recent interview with the Associated Press. The same way as when you tell a ghost story at a campfire. It doesn't feel that great unless you see your friends scared. His debut film, Undertone, which opened in theaters on Friday the 13th, is already doing just that. After playing at the Sundance Film Festival, it had some calling it the scariest movie you'll ever hear. Undertone is a minimalistic horror set in one location with essentially one character. Evie, played by Nina Curry, is a paranormal podcaster who's taking care of her dying comatose mother upstairs. She's the skeptic of the podcast, which she does with a remote co-host, played by Adam DeMarco, in the middle of the night. Nothing can scare her, but this new investigation in which they try to decode a series of unnerving audio files sent anonymously has rattled her. Tucson always dreamed of being a filmmaker, but he began his career in virtual reality and made a name for himself as an early proponent of immersive 3D sound for his cinematic horror shorts, which have been viewed millions of times. Soundscapes became his calling card, so when he sat down to write Undertone, he included every audio cue, resulted in a 250-page script. But now he's focused on getting Undertone out to the world, and he's grateful that he's starting to see it as a film and a character separate from himself. It's starting to feel less and less for me, he said. There wasn't any separation for the longest time, but now I watch it all in the theater and I'm a little bit more distant. Now I can look at it and kind of just focus on the technique, the art, and have to live as a thing separate from me. Reminders of Him delivers well-crafted sad happy mix by Mark Kennedy. The hunky sweet hero in the new romantic drama Reminders of Him at one point turns to the movie's heroine and tells her, I'm starting to wonder if you're the saddest girl I've ever met. It's hard to argue. First, she's a penniless former prison inmate who has returned to her small town of Laramie, Wisconsin, where she's hooking up with her former boyfriend's best friend. Second, that boyfriend is dead and she's been blamed, hence the prison sentence. Plus, she's hoping to connect with her estranged daughter, born of tragedy. There's a lot going on with Kenna Rowan, who can't afford a phone or a car, and so walks everywhere around the town, lives in a rundown motel, and can't initially get a job because she's a felon. She hates listening to the radio because all the songs are sad. Pot calling the kettle, right? Reminders of Him is very faithful to Colleen Hoover's 2022 novel of the same name, right down to the slices of the same dialogue, and even the Mountain Dew t-shirt, jean shorts, and boots our heroine is first introduced in. She finally gets a job as a grocery bagger and starts building a life. bidding her time until she can figure out how to reconnect with her daughter. Maika Monroe, a one-time scream queen, stretches out her dramatic muscles to play Kenna and nails the assignment, a woman with a hard shell who's looking for a little grace, a tricky role that's both flirty and maternal. After 7 years in prison, Kenna walks into a fraught situation. Her 5-year-old daughter, yay, the math is a bit crazy here, is being raised by her dead boyfriend's parents with an assist from his best friend, Ledger, played by real soul Tariq Withers. Kenna's mere presence threatens to blow up this cozy arrangement. What's remarkable about reminders of him is that there are no villains. The grandparents, played by Lauren Graham and Bradley Whitford, both perfect, are naturally aghast at the notion that the woman who was driving the car when their son died might swoop in and take their grandchild. But any parent can sympathize with Kenna, who gave birth in handcuffs and never got to even hold her baby. Ledger is caught in the middle, attracted to this sad Kenna, but also a fierce defender and surrogate father of her daughter, Diem. Falling in love with the lady accused of killing your best friend may not be the wisest thing to do, but there you go. The movie veers dangerously close to overwrought melodrama, like a line about Kenna's heading back to the place it all went wrong, hoping to make something right. And it flirts with tween. Not many grocery store baggers spend their off time dancing at dusk with sparklers. But it's thoroughly production where the details matter. At one point we learn the dead boyfriend's favorite color is yellow, and later we hear not one but two versions of Coldplay's Yellow. There may be few too many shots of an orange Ford F-150 and heavy use of the strumming acoustic guitar whenever a tender moment is coming, but remembers of him as a well-crafted, well-acted, sad, happy Hoover adaptation. Things to do. Jewish Film Fest, Dino Days, Springtime in the Country by Tony Roberto. It was a tale passed down through generations about a Nazi soldier who took valuable stamps from concentration camp victims and buried them somewhere in Poland. But was it true? That was what producer and writer Gary Gilbert from Seinfeld wanted to know. So Gilbert, director Dan Sturman, and crew made a fake feature film that would allow them access near where the stamps could be hidden in Poland. The goal, return them to their rightful owners. See what they found in The Stamp Thief, a documentary billed as part of Detective Story, part heist film, that will be shown at 7 p.m. Monday as part of the Buffalo International Jewish Film Festival. The 41st annual event, the third largest of its kind in North America, is being held through Thursday in the Maxine and Robert Seller Theater, the Jewish Community Center, Benderson Family Building, North Forest Road, Gettsville. It opened with a reception Saturday, followed at 7 with The Ring, directed by Air Miller from Israel. 2024, Hebrew and Hungarian with English subtitles. The festival showcases films from around the world, including Israel and Europe. The full lineup is at jccbuffalo.org. Here are some highlights. Eleanor the Great at 1 p.m. today, Sunday, is the directorial debut of Scarlett Johansson. The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue at 5 today, Sunday, documentary about parents who traveled 10 hours to find their son and his family whose home was stormed by terrorists on October 3rd, 2023. The Floaters at 7 p.m. Tuesday is a heartfelt comedy about a struggling musician who takes a job offered by her best friend to work with misfit kids at a summer camp. The closing night galas at 7 p.m. Thursday includes a screening of Hora by Avig Wezelby, followed by a reception and dance instructor leading guests to learn the Hora. Springtime in the country, Friday through Sunday at the Fairgrounds Event Center, Hamburg Fairgrounds, McKinley Parkway. Spring Garden Days, Friday through April 13th at the Buffalo Erie County Botanical Gardens, South Park Avenue. Dino Fest, 10 to 5, Saturday and Sunday at the Buffalo Museum of Science, Humboldt Parkway. Upstage, 2 p.m. next Sunday in the West Her Riviera Theater, Webster Street. Quick calendar. St. Patrick's Day Parade today, Sunday, 2 p.m., Niagara Square along Delaware Avenue to north. The Celtic Tenors, 7:30 Monday at the Western Riviera Theater. The Irish Lassies perform Celtic folk music, 7 p.m. Tuesday at the Cas. The Cat in the Hat stage production, 7 p.m. Friday, University of Buffalo Center for the Arts, North Campus, Amherst. Black Rock Beatles, 6:30 Friday, Grandma Moore's on Hurdle Avenue. Rory Scovel, 7 p.m. Saturday, Electric City, Pearl Street. Beethoven back at the Basilica with Avant Music, 7:30 Saturday, Our Lady of Victory Basilica, Ridge Road. Just announced. Bruised Hornsby and the Noisemakers, 7:30 August 11th, Western Riviera Theater. Charlie Crockett, 7:30 September 29th, Art Park Main Stage Theater, Lewiston. Cole Swindell, 7 p.m. July 30th, Art Park Outdoor Amphitheater. Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Live, Glow and Fire, 11:30 and 6:30 July 11th, and 1:30 July 12th, KeyBank Center. Rick Springfield, 7 p.m. July 12th, OLG Stage, Fallsview Casino, Niagara Falls, Ontario. Ryan Davis and the Roadhouse Band with Elizabeth Moen, 8 p.m. June 22nd, Ashbury Hall, Babeville. The Wailers, 50 Years of Positive Vibrations, 8 p.m. May 6th, Ashbury Hall at Babeville. Tea Party, 8 p.m. July 24th, OLG Stage, Fallsview Casino, Niagara Falls, Ontario. Western Riviera Theater. Just announced. DSL, Dire Straits Legacy, August 15th. Double Vision, The Foreigner Experience, October 2nd. On sale now. The Celtic Tenors, March 16th. Upstage, March 22nd. Pink, March 28th. Shaman, April 3rd. Strangelove, April 4th. The McCartney Experience, April 11th. Simply the Best, April 17th. John Wayne, April 25th. Love Sexy, May 8th. Rush, May 15 and 16. Starry Starry Night, May 28th. Smells Like Nirvana, May 29th. Like Combs, May 30th. You are listening to reading of articles and features from the March 15th issue of the Sunday Gusto. Books. Design Inspo, new home and garden books to get you pumped for your next project. The Iconic Nordic House. New home and garden books to get you pumped for your next project by Christy Zimuth. Spring brings a renewed sense of enthusiasm and energy for home and garden projects. If you're ready to shrug off winter's inertia and are searching for inspiration, publishers are happy to oblige with a crop of new titles sure to fuel indoor and outdoor transformations. Here's a roundup of some of the latest books that caught our eye. The iconic Nordic house. As Scandinavian style continues to be a daring of the design world, this new book series is a guide and showcases 40 iconic houses around the world, from remote mountain residences to dramatic waterside homes in places that range from Iceland to the Faroe Islands, as well as Sweden and Denmark, Norway, and Finland. The team of author Dominic Bradbury and photographer Richard Powers collaborated on other titles, including The Iconic American House and The Iconic British House. If you fell in love with it in the clean Nordic style, this book explains why it continues to help hold allure for architects, designers, and homeowners around the world. Kit Kemp, Design Stories. Known for a style that combines vibrant colors and electric patterns, Kemp's new book shows off homes featuring her unapologetic use of color, pattern layering, and eye for the unexpected. In it, she reveals how she transforms interiors into richly woven stories of texture, craft, and individuality. Read it if you are looking for an invitation to break free from the ordinary and create interiors that reflect personality, passion, and a true sense of place, according to the book's press release. Summer houses. If spring's almost here, summer can't be far behind. Essentially, a visual vacation in book form. This stunning title features 50 homes that celebrate summer through architect. Featured are luxury beach houses and private island escapes, as well as modest rural cabins and lakeside retreats around the world. Highlights include a lush family retreat on the island of Menorca, a minimalistic pavilion on the Nigerian peninsula, and a tranquil beach house on the Greek island of Key. The Happy Home. Ariel Oken's work is the opposite of everything we've come to expect, Lena Dunham wrote in the introduction to this new release. She reveals in softness, specificity, and livability, while consistently surprising with her choices. With chapters such as Playful Meets Polished and Treehouse by the Sea, the book celebrates Oken's deft use of color and pretty fresh take on traditional interiors that are both livable and elegant. Projects from around the country, including the designer's own home in New York, show how to turn your house into a warm and inviting home. The Quiet Home. Have you wondered why some homes radiate calm and a sense of peace while others feel chaotic? The answer, according to Michelle Halford, lies in the concept of the quiet home, which extends beyond aesthetics to look at the elements that shape interior spaces and the effects they have on our physical and emotional well-being. Taking its cues from house hushing, the book provides strategic for reducing visual chaos, fostering beautiful, calming interiors and cultivating a slower, more grounded life, with tips on dialing down visual noise through decluttering, curating your possessions, shopping more mindfully, and decorating with calming colors. Gardens Illustrated, The New Beautiful. The editors of Gardens Illustrated magazine have selected more than 50 of their favorite gardens in an international mix of locations, scales, and in a variety of climates to appeal to and delight garden enthusiasts everywhere. From small city spaces aiming to bring biodiversity deep into the built environment, to country estates photographed with a new lens on ecology and sustainability, all were created by today's top garden designers and provide both eye candy and inspiration. Rizzoli, $85. Flower Power. Get ready for the upcoming planting season with Jack Semler's new book. Semler, an international recognized horticulturist, plant advocate, and innovative designer who lives in Australia, breaks down the processes, techniques, and thinking behind garden design and planting, with how-tos on categorizing and understanding plants, using color, composition, and texture, and more. Thames and Hudson, $65. The Contemporary Cottage Garden. Longtime gardener Pamela Hubbard walks gardeners through what it takes to grow in the cottage garden style while considering the modern world and increased weather extremes. Images by Rob Cardillo highlight Hubbard's cottage garden in Pennsylvania, where she has updated techniques for cottage gardening. Topics include insights on gardening for increased biodiversity and pollinators, creating a cottage meadow garden, designing a gravel or rain garden, gardening to reduce stress, creating a children's and sensory garden, and more. Timber Press, $27.99. Naturalistic Flowers. Looking to break free from formal flower arrangements, sisters Allie and Jess Lister of leading London-based floral studio AESME show you how to duplicate their distinctive and sometimes experimental style in their first book. Using wild and seasonal flowers to pair creates beautiful and sustainable arrangements that are in sync with their surroundings, whether they be English country houses or provincial garden. Chapters follow their discoveries and travels, offering ideas for styling flowers along with arrangement recipes that show how you can get similar results. Thames and Hudson, $40. Television. Love Story is a sorry mix of cringeworthy addictive. I really tried to ignore the limited series Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette on EX, Hulu, and Disney Plus out of sympathy and respect for their families. I knew nothing good could come from it. It's part of Ryan Murphy's American Love Story anthology series, but if you believe some of the players who lived through the 1990s, it belongs in Murphy's American Horror Story anthology series. I couldn't ignore it any longer after watching a Today Show segment last week that explained it has become a huge hit that's being watched together by mothers and their daughters. I was further intrigued by an op-ed in the New York Times by actress Daryl Hannah, who dated JFK Jr. for years before he met Bessette. Hannah, who was horrified by her betrayal on several levels, understandably fears that viewers will believe they are watching history rather than historical fiction. So I watched the first 7 of the 9 episodes of the series, inspired by Elizabeth Beller's book Once Upon a Time, The Captivating Life of Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. It opens with a cautionary graphic noting that certain people and events have been dramatized or fictionalized for storytelling purposes. In other words, believe what you want to believe. At times, I almost died laughing at the ridiculousness of the series, while at the same time understanding why it is a hit. Even though it is often cringeworthy, it is a romantic, entertaining, and addictive fantasy involving 2 beautiful-looking people trying to navigate a nearly impossible situation, dealing with multiple family and paparazzi issues. As with any series with Murphy as executive producer, it is slick and visually arresting. I just don't mean because Paul Anthony Kelly, the criminally handsome actor playing JFK Jr., would turn heads riding his bicycle around New York City or wearing a baseball hat backwards and headbands to hide his hair on his way to playing touch football in Central Park in the 1990s, just as the late son of President Kennedy did. And Sarah Pidgeon, who plays Bissette, also would turn heads. The series looks fantastic, has an appealing soundtrack from the Goo Goo Dolls song Name, arrives at the end of episode 5, and the ratings appeal of the Kennedy name. But with memories of the Camelot years of JFK's presidency dancing in my head, I felt a little dirty watching it, pretending to know that what went on in the minds, thoughts, and conversations of real-life celebrities. I couldn't disagree more with a statement by Calvin Klein, played by Alejandro Nivola, about the struggles of supermodel Kate Moss. I stopped feeling sorry for famous people a long time ago. It seems to be one of the mantras of the show's production team, along with this line from Carolyn's sister in Thursday 7, episode 7, "A happy couple doesn't sell papers." Unlike Klein, I feel sorry for everyone in this series portrayed in it, living or dead. I especially felt sorry for Hannah, who's depicted as pathetic and incredibly needy and couldn't take the repeated hints that JFK Jr. was just not into her any longer. The really sad thing is that Hannah is collateral damage. It wasn't necessary for the series to involve her so much in portraying JFK Jr. as briefly being torn between two lovers. In her Times op-ed, Hannah also made it clear she never used cocaine and never hosted a cocaine-fueled party that is depicted in the series. I felt sorry for Bissette, who's depicted as a Calvin Klein protege, playing a winning hand of hard to get, and then questioning whether the victory was worth possibly losing her identity by marrying the sexiest and most famous man alive, and dealing with all the lies printed about her. And then there was JFK Jr., who's depicted as a poor little rich boy who didn't understand himself and was searching for relevancy and a way to make his widowed mother, Jackie, proud. His sister Carolyn, played by Meryl Streep's daughter Grace Gummer, deserved better than being portrayed as an unlikable and boring nobody, considering all she has accomplished in her life. It wasn't until one of the later episodes that viewers learned she was accomplished and wrote 2 books. And then there's JFK's widow, Jacqueline. All the matriarchs in the series are portrayed as cold, judgmental characters who are too involved in their children's romantic life. I felt sorry for Jackie since Naomi Watts makes her a cartoonish character whose accent sounds more like JFK's mother, Rose, than the Revered First Lady. The show jumped the shark several times. At the top of the list is when Jackie starts dancing alone to a recording of Richard Burton singing the title song of Camelot, the theme of the Kennedy presidency. I assume mothers watching with daughters across the country will explain what a record player is and who Richard Burton was, besides marrying Elizabeth Taylor twice. The moms might also have to explain what an old-fashioned phone was and why it used to be legal in the 90s to smoke in restaurants. The romantic scene in which JFK Jr., after burying his mother, raced to Carolyn's apartment in the rain to kiss her for the first time, laugh, seemingly to make death an aphrodisiac. The invented conversations between Jackie, her children, JFK Jr., Carolyn, and Daryl are so stilted that they appear to have been written by a therapist. The only moment that was certifiably truthful was via real-life black-and-white footage of JFK and Jackie that were interspersed with the fictional scenes. But Love Story isn't looking for truth, it's looking for the ratings. And despite all the inaccuracies and fictional elements, Murphy and the entire love story production team that made this entertaining, beautiful looking series know they never have to say they're sorry. Taste. Restaurant notes. BB's Restaurant Gallery fills gap on Main Street. Clear and smooth jazz trumpet pieces through the conversationalism dim. People holding champagne flutes and hors d'oeuvres celebrate the reopening / reimaging of BB's on the square, 403 Main Street. Under that umbrella, there could be celebrating all sorts of things: art, music, healthy food, the coming of spring, an opening and not another closing in downtown Buffalo. BB's on the Square is open every weekday from 10 to 6 under a new concept. It's still a lunch restaurant and art gallery with monthly jazz. Chef Jessica Melise, owner of its former restaurant, Aurelia, still runs the kitchen, but with a new menu. Melise will still serve Aurelia's tacos and occasional pop-ups. BB's rebrand is as European-inspired bistro serving healthy lunch, beer, wine, and cocktails. Pretty much everything is scratch-made, Melise said. We're trying to do food that is approachable, with intention, accessible for everyone that's downtown. Just be something that makes you feel good when you eat it. Hunt Real Estate owns and operates BB's on the first floor of its headquarters within the historic Brisbane building. Executive Chairman Peter Hunt, wearing a slim suit and small round glasses, stood in the building's lobby and waved to the ghosts of what used to be there. Kleinhans, the men's store in Buffalo for a long time, beautiful suits, and Woolworths, the basis for the Knox family fortune. Now it's the art-filled entrance to the Brisbane as a modern-day office building. It also opens into BB's. Chef Melise describes the BB's menu as coastal European. The mostly Mediterranean-influenced menu is easy. Easy to share, easy to eat, easy to like, easy to digest. The dip duo's $14 smooth hummus is obviously house-made, while the whipped feta dip tastes like cheesy tahini in the unusual way that it sets it apart from anything pre-made at the store. The pan bagnet is a plate of tuna salad tossed in olive oil with onion, artichoke, and capers served over a bed of greens, next to roasted potatoes and cherry tomatoes. It's eaten with warm crostini. It's almost something you could whip up quickly at home, except Melise's elaboration makes her version twice as good. Items like moules frites, stuffed banana peppers, French onion soup, and charcuterie round out the menu's richer choices. Other menu highlights include shrimp cocktail, crispy Brussels sprouts with goat cheese, balsamic reduction and red pepper flakes, and nutritious bowls stuffed with either Greek chicken, sweet potato and kale, or shrimp with vegetables, sauce, and fresh lemon. You could also get a hot grilled lunch combo, as Melise describes it, of Parmesan fries and a Caesar salad. The bar serves a small selection of wine, beer, and simple cocktails. Jazz Buffalo will continue to hold its art meets jazz events at BB's. It was part of an effort between Peter Hunt and myself to figure out how do we bring life to downtown, said Jazz Buffalo Executive Director Tony Zambito. As soon as it's warm and dry enough, the restaurant will open its sidewalk patio, an exciting contribution to the area. The patio will look out onto the Hotel Lafayette and the library to its right, Main Street to its left, and the leafy Lafayette Square in the center. That square is really our ace in the hole, in my opinion, Hunt said. He plans to host a mini Thursday in the Square musical series inspired by the popular event that used to be held in Lafayette Square. His smaller version will include a band playing the sidewalk patio's patrons. Any of the old European cities, this is how they operate, Hunt said. Almost all of them have little micro parks, which really that's life. Peter Hunt hopes BB's will be profitable, but he isn't doing this for profit. It's a bit like restaurateur Mark Supple's plan for nearby International House, which he also didn't expect to be at all that profitable when he opened last year in downtown Buffalo. To bring downtown back to life, there needs to be life, in Hunt's opinion. That life can come downtown only for events. There needs to be incentive, somewhere to hang, somewhere to eat, for people to stay downtown. We've become a city of events. We've lost kind of the regular social gathering stuff that happens more spontaneously, Hunt said. Restaurant news. Spot Coffee recently opened a new express location inside of a Jefferson Avenue Sunoco on the city's east side, and Federal Meats closed one of its Delaware Avenue butcher shops. Hear more from Spot Coffees and customers on what it means for the surrounding community, and read about Federal's closure during a time of historically high meat prices at buffalonews.com. Food events. It's almost time for the Maple weekend. Maple farms throughout western New York will welcome the public into their properties for maple breakfast, maple samples, maple shopping, and maple educational sessions over the next couple of weekends. Between 10 and 4, March 21, 22, 28, and 29, visit participating maple farms. Admission is free. Costs of maple breakfasts and products vary. The Buffalo History Museum is hosting an Eid festival from 4 to 8, March 20th. Muslims celebrate the end of Ramadan, a month of prayer, reflection, and fasting with the festival Eid al-Fitr. At the museum celebration, expect cultural food, live performances, henna tattooing, and local vendors. Admission is free. Taste. St. Patrick's Day, minty fresh. Make your own shamrock shakes at home. Milkshake. For the milkshake, 1 pint of vanilla ice cream, 2/3 cup of whole milk, half teaspoon of peppermint extract, 8 drops of liquid or 4 drops of gel green food coloring. Let ice cream sit out at room temperature until starting to soften, 10 to 15 minutes. Give the container a squeeze. It shouldn't be rock hard and should give slightly when it's ready. Meanwhile, chill the glasses. If you have room in your freezer, stick 2 tall drinking milkshake glasses in there, or else chill the glasses in the refrigerator. Place milk, peppermint extract, food coloring, and softened ice cream in a blender, starting on low speed, working your way up to medium. Blend. Stop the blender, scrape down the sides, stir as needed. Divide the milkshake between the 2 serving glasses. Twist on tradition. Baked corned beef and cabbage. Corned beef is a brisket that has been pickled in spices for days, but it's often high in sodium. To help control the salt level, we use pickling spice, a blend featuring mustard seed, coriander, and black pepper to achieve a similar flavor. A blending of cabbage, potatoes, and carrots rounds out the dish for a hearty, cozy meal. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the March 15th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News. Your reader has been Michelle. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the front section of the Sunday Times. At 2 o'clock, we have the New York Times Opinion section. And at 3 o'clock, we have the New York Times Arts and Leisure section. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. If you're listening to this publication online, you're probably using our website, a podcast player like Spotify or iTunes, a streaming service like Siro, or a smart speaker. Did you know that we now have a dedicated app that can be downloaded to any mobile device, like a smartphone or tablet, for free? App users can conveniently access our live stream and any episode of our podcast easier than ever. To download the app, just type NFRRS in the search window in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. Contact us anytime if you have any questions by calling 716-821-5555, extension 5. Thank you. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning